in this book, this is my new book, by the way. And so it's coming out March 2nd. And I sort of clung to this like a life raft over the last couple of years while I was writing it. There's a section in here about sanity, and it's a critique to some degree of psychoanalytic thought, because not that I admire the psychoanalysts tremendously, but they tended to think of sanity as something that was organized inside your psyche, or let's say inside your brain for that matter, or maybe even a reflection of healthy brain function. But sanity is to large part outsourced. And what I mean by that is that if you're fortunate and you're well socialized, other people find you acceptable enough to include you in their networks. And then all you have to do is pay attention to the functioning of that network and regulate your behavior as a consequence of the feedback you receive, and you more or less stay sane. And so, like, if you have a family and you have friends, then they'll help you make sure that your jokes are funny and not mean, because they'll laugh when they're funny and they'll raise an eyebrow when they're mean. And then you can check in with that, and they'll help you figure out if you're dominating the conversation too much, and they'll push and prod you as you do the same to them, and everyone stays relatively organized. And when all this hit to begin with, I had quite a large network of people, which expanded at some point to include people like you and the so-called intellectual dark web members, and they were helping me check in on my sanity all the time, helping guide me through the interview process, analyzing my errors and commenting when I did something hypothetically right. And my family played an integral role in that. And so that was extremely helpful. I never thought about that as a precondition for saying what I said, but I think there's something about that that's right. It's certainly the case that, like, I have tremendously supportive parents. Still, they're both still alive. They're still tremendously supportive at a very deep, deep level. And I think that was a real gift that I had that many people don't have. I've been struck, one of the things that torments me constantly is, and I think it's really hurt me to discover this, is I had no idea how deep the desperation was for people who lack encouragement. It's just because every time I talk about this, it makes me tear up because of what I've seen, I think. But all these people that I've met now, I spoke when I went on my book tour, which was an unbelievable event. Unbelievably positive event, but also I would even say to some degree traumatically positive. Like, it was just too much. I really loved it, but to see the depth of hunger that people had for an encouraging word was unbelievably tragic. And for people to come up to me repeatedly, over and over and over, hundreds, maybe thousands of times, and say, I was in such desperate straits, looking for some encouragement, unable to find it. And then, I came across your lectures. I thought, Jesus, it's pretty thin gruel to feed a starving population. I mean, I'm absolutely pleased beyond belief that people have found what I've done useful, but that doesn't decrease the impact of the realization of just how much hurt there is